in 1994, Simpsons is airing Season 6, Episode 4, Itchy and Scratchy Land. A family vacation to Itchy and Scratchy Land turns disastrous when the robots malfunction and turn on the tourists.
Tourists. This is top tier, Steve. This is a legacy episode. One that I remember loving from the beginning, and then on rewatch, still just as good. Classic.
And this time around, the couch gag is the Star Trek reference. They just
start off pretty common start. Bart and Lisa just watching some Itchy and Scratchy, Steve.
Scratchy gets buff.
Yeah. Schwarzenegger like Steve, but then he gets poked with a needle millions of times, starts bleeding, and then the mouse just basically chainsaws off his pecs and all those muscles he's built. That leads right into segues nicely into a commercial for Itchy and Scratchy Land, Steve.
Krusty's urging the kids to just nag their parents. Just nag them. Nag them now. Be a nagger.
It's the most violent place on earth. I mean, how can you resist? And it works, Steve. That ad, Bart and Lisa go right from the TV, go to Dad, Homer. You go to the weak link first, Steve. I remember this. Homer, he's on autopilot. He's like, no, ask your mother. Fine. So they go to Marge, but she's already got plans, Steve. She wants to go to the bird sanctuary. This is a disaster.
Yeah.
Bird sanctuary? I've been on these kind of trips, Steve. It's just a bum out.
And then later, when Homer and Marge are in bed, Lisa, she shows up with Bart in a wagon saying, look, Mom, Dad, Bart's dead. Dead serious about going to Itchy and Scratchy Land.
That's good salesmanship, Steve. We're going back to sales and all this. This is a through line. So another Glengarry Ross possibility here. They're throwing a heavy sell on the parents, but they're coming with some good stuff here. They point out it's not just for kids, guys. There's adult stuff in Itchy and Scratchy Land. There's Parents Land, there's bowling, there's bars, and that's speaking immediately to Homer. You know?
Recipe-related bumper cars, Hammock Land.
Even a rehab. Just in case you get too into the adult stuff, Steve, you got to get off of it. You got to get rid of those shakes. But Marge, while very persuaded, she's just not sure because every time they do something and they go someplace, it's a disaster and she has got to pick up the pieces. You know?
They always get into a big fight. And then she thinks back about the other vacations they had when they went to Amish country and Homer's just stuffing ice cream cones on everyone's faces because he knows that they don't fight back. Then they cut to the sandy beach when Homer and Bart wearing shark fins scaring everybody off the beach.
And that's just two. She's got a whole Rolodex of that. So she's like, look, you got to promise you're going to be on your best behavior. You know, there's none of that. We're going to spend time together. We're going to learn things together. We're going to get exercise. We're going to be outside. All the mom stuff. She's like, maybe I'll say yes, but you got to adhere to these regulations.
Yeah, so they agree to go. When we see that Grandpa Simpson, he's the one left with the pet sitting duties. And as Marge is giving the directions and everything, he's like, well, just because I'm old, you think I'm senile? So they pull off. He's like, which one of you is the mailman?
Yeah, those pets might be dead, but it all happened so quickly. They're off. They're on the highway. This happens every once in a while. As people who are potheads, Steve, we got to worry about checkpoints. Not this kind, though, because Homer approaches what we see as a fruit and vegetable checkpoint. You can't smuggle veggies wherever they're going. And Marge is like, why are you freaking out? Because Homer's starting to get that itch. She's like, we don't have any vegetables or fruit anywhere. Look at you. But Homer's like, look, Marge, there was this get-rich-quick scheme. I got a trunk full of strawberries. We're fucked.
So Homer just speeds off. And then as Homer's going through the different radio stations, it's all about evil. Up next is Vanessa Williams. And then there's something evil. And up next is Frank Sinatra. And evil lurks.
And then Homer's starting to get groggy. Everyone's starting to fall asleep. The music's kind of slowing down. Marge is aware of it. She's like, we gotta go to a hotel. You're gonna fall asleep." And then Homer's like, not even groggy, Marge. It's fucking. And we immediately cut to a car spinning out of control, going off the highway, hitting a pole of some kind, and just bursting into flames. But thankfully, that wasn't The Simpsons, Steve, because we pull away from the death and destruction and see Homer and the family in a motel window just seeing this happen.
They get back into the car, and Homer decides, look, I'm going to take a shortcut. He takes the off road, but it destroys their car in the process. But they finally make it to Itchy and Scratchy Land. It requires a helicopter to get to the actual location.
Kind of like Jurassic Park vibes, Steve. They're approaching. The pilot is like giving him a little tour, and he's like, "Welcome to Itchy and Scratchy Land, a place where nothing could possibly go wrong." Oh shit, possibly go wrong, and obviously that's also foreboding, Steve. Even the pilot's fucking up, but they're here now, even with a little bit of ominous music playing in the background.
Right at the gate, they ask if you want to buy some Itchy and Scratchy money. What good is this? Well, it's just as good as regular money. So he buys like over $1,000 of Itchy and Scratchy money, goes into the park, and it says, "We're not taking Itchy and Scratchy money," just about everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. So he's $1,200 in the hole with fun money, Steve. I don't know what the refund rate is on that. Marge, not really feeling it. You know, there's a lot of violence. There's a lot of weird shit going on. And there's this like skeevy manager that we keep seeing in this episode. And she like points out to him, she's like, there's no consequences in any of this. All this violence you're showing, you never show any consequences. The manager's like, no, we do, lady. We make sure all the violence, there's always a consequence. And Marge is like, well, you showed the mouse took out the cat's lungs in an episode, played them like bagpipes, and the next scene, the cat was just fine. So where's the consequence in that? And he's like, yeah, that's cool. What's that? And just runs away because he's
Yeah.
a skeevy manager.
And then they go to a restaurant, and the whole menu is full of violent names. Bart makes his order, Homer makes his order. Marge is like, "What's wrong with y'all?" And they, get her up to speed. Like, this is actually a burger that I ordered. So she's like, "Oh, well, fine. I'll take the baby guts." Then the waiter's like, "Lady, you disgust me."
You bitch. At one point, they also have to drop off Maggie because she's a baby. She can't ride all these rides. And I love the child daycare center is just like a 10-foot deep ball pit that they're just hunking babies into. And when they move, they throw some more balls on top of them. Hopefully, Maggie will be okay. We're going through the park. Marge is looking at the map of everything. And this place does sound kind of freaky, Steve. There's torture land, there's explosion land, there's searing gas pain land, which seems very specific, and unnecessary surgery land.
Yeah.
I'm not going to this place.
But before they do any of that, they hear that the parade is about to start. They show the parade, and it's pretty satanic, nightmare fuel, if you will. They even have a little baby axe. They
Yeah.
have, yeah.
Baby axes. Some of the robots hit the other robots. They spurt little blood spurts. They got psycho eyes, no matter how you're looking at them. Marge brings up again, just like to the air. She's like, what's to stop these things from doing that to us? And a manager reminds that skeevy guy, comes over and is like, look, these things are programmed to only hurt each other. They will never hurt a human being. That's lock solid. That's a jinx, Steve. That's a jinx move.
Now they're on the log ride. At first, it's peaceful, it's serene. Then all of a sudden, it just gets dicey.
Yeah, like a saw comes in, saws the fucking log that they're riding in half, which sends them just flying out of the boat, and then they land on dirty mattresses, Steve. That's shifty. That seems like a carny ride. But they're alive, so I guess it's a Launchpad McQuack thing. They as long as you survive, you're good. And after that, Marge and Homer are like, you know what, kids? I think we've had enough together. Time for the adults to go just do some adulting. Okay? We'll see you guys later.
The first place they go to is Itchy's Disco. Homer's just like, yes, it's actually like the 70s all over again. They even see a bartender that looks like John Travolta.
Looks like, oh my
Yeah.
God. Johnny, times are tough in the early 90s, Steve. That might have been Johnny T. But then we cut back to Lisa and Bart. They're at a merch store. They're looking at stuff, all that expensive like goodies you can get at a theme park. And Bart sees, those personalized little bicycle license plates. He's like, oh, okay, I'll get me one of these. And he's looking for Bart. He's going everywhere. He's like, Bert, Bort, because there's no Bart, but he's like, Bort. Who the hell is sucking what needs a Bort? Who's named Bort? Somebody's like, hey, Bort. There's like three Borts in the building, Steve. That's the joke. So, have you ever met a Bort?
Never. And I hope I never do. Then they go to a section where there's like these discontinued characters. And the one that stood out was the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, it's dicey. There's a reason they're no longer active.
Yeah.
And then we see kind of like what kind of starts the bad stuff in this episode because Bart's mischievous. So he sees one of these characters in like a costume in the store, stomps right on his foot,
Yeah.
and he just laughs. And I worked at a theme park, Steve. This happens a lot. This is just like an inclination kids have is just to fuck with people in costumes. So see what happens. Fuck around.
Now Homer and Marge, they're at this New Year's room where the orchestra or the band, they're just playing the New Year's theme all over and over again.
It's just New Year's constantly. I love this because this is indicative of anybody you meet at anything where you think it'd be cool to work at. Marge is like, it must be awesome just to work in a place where it's always New Year's. And the guy's like, kill me. Just hates it.
Back to Bart and Lisa, they're in Itchy's minefield. While that's going on, Bart ends up kicking Scratchy now.
Yeah. Also, we see they're watching like a little historical video of like the history of Itchy and Scratchy. And we see the guy who made it is named Roger Myers Sr. Kind of obviously given shades of Disney here. According to this video, widely beloved right up until this controversial cartoon he made in the late 30s. Nazi Supermen are our superiors, Steve. Clearly, I don't he had a couple of weird clubs he was involved in, let's put it that way. Then we get to see an excerpt from the Fantasia Itchy and Scratchy from back in the day where
Scratch Tasia.
yeah, Scratch Tasia, where the cat's cutting the mouse with an axe. He chops them into pieces. Those pieces turn into mice. And those pieces get chopped and turned into smaller pieces and this, that, and the other until the pieces are like vapor. And we see in Scratch Tasia, the cat breathe in the vapor, which then becomes little mice in his body that chop him from the inside out. It's dark stuff, Steve.
Back to the parade, there's a little bit of foreshadowing because the Bama family, I think it's the Cooter, maybe, he snaps a pick at one of the robots, and we see that the robot malfunctions.
Yeah, just a little flash on the camera, so pay attention to that. After that happens, we see Bart yet again fucking with the staff here. He sees one of the mouse in costume. Credit to him, Steve. He throws a sniper dart of a stink bomb right into the mouth of this costume, causing havoc, causing chaos, but that's what Bart does, Steve.
I just want to entertain. And after that, we see the officer grabbing Bart and taking him to the detention center.
Yeah, jail time. So he gets thrown in like the Itchy and Scratchy gulag, but luckily he's not alone because his dad's already arrested. Homer's already arrested because
Yeah.
he kicked one of the mouse in the knees. You're not supposed to do that. Sitting right there.
While that's going on, Marge is at the souvenir shop. She's ordering 5 shirts that says the best vacation ever. While she's doing that, we hear over the loudspeaker, Marge Simpson, we've arrested your son and your much older and fatter son.
Much older, fatter, bolder son. So she's embarrassed. And I like you hear some person like, if that was my family, I would be mortified. Just a little salt in the wound. And then we cut to like this lab, the behind the scenes, the Jurassic Park behind the scenes type situation. And Dr. Freudberg, resident genius in Springfield, comes in the lab frantic. Bloody violence. these robots are gonna kill us all. And the guy's like, wait, what's going on? And the doctor explains like this issue with the robots. They're gonna become killing machines. It's only a matter of time. They only have 24 hours left. But then he realizes he didn't carry the one, so it's actually D-Days now. We cut to a robot grabbing a lab worker, and these robots are now killing machines, Steve.
When the family reunites, the robots are approaching them.
Homer's like, I'm a political prisoner, Marge. Like, I thought this was America. And as he's doing that, he sees one of the robots, like, looking psycho, like Terminator style over at him. And he still thinks these robots can't do anything. So he's like, ooh, waving a kerchief at it and stuff, fucking with it. But it starts becoming pretty obvious that these things are not just going to stop, you know? They got red eyes, Steve.
Because Marge is telling them, like, those robots don't want to be your friend. It's like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. He's just poking at it. While that's happening, the robot is just cuts off strands of his hair. Those 2 strands. I'm ugly now.
And Marge is like, God, I knew we shouldn't have gone to this stupid place and we should have gone to the bird sanctuary. Cut to the bird sanctuary. There's a bird apocalypse happening there where they've escaped. Hans Moleman's stuck in like some kind of a phone booth trying to survive, but clearly there was no good decision. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. I thought that was hilarious. Don't they try to get to like a chopper that they see coming and like it's one of the guys that they were fucking with and the worker's like, see in hell, bitch, and just like kicks him off the helicopter?
Yeah. So they're stuck with the robots. And as they're approaching, Homer says, no one ruins my family vacation but me. And maybe the boy.
And Lisa, I think a camera goes off and Lisa noticed like, hey, like that did something. So Bart hears this, and because he's Bart, he breaks a window of like a shop. And I mean, opportunistic, Steve. You need the cameras. So he steals a bunch more cameras, and they get to work. They get to flashing, Steve, in the good way. You know?
What's the bad way of flashing?
Well, if you just walk into public and you start flashing people, you know what I'm saying? Somebody calls me and goes, yo, Steve was out in public flashing people. That's not a good call. You understand?
Well, if Steve does the flashing, but if Stephanie does the flashing?
Well, that's the double standard, Steve.
Yes,
That's
it
the
is.
double standard.
Yeah, that's fair. They just send a melee out to these robots one after another until they all just collapse. Lisa, in the aftermath, says, you know what? This is the best vacation ever. Marge is like, wait, what the hell are you talking about? We got to get together, we got to exercise outdoors, and we'll have memories forever. And Marge is like, well, if you think about it that way, then yeah, I guess this is a good vacation.
But we're never speaking of it again.
Yeah,
So
never.
keep all those memories to yourself. And then a Roger Myers Jr., the current owner of the park, he's talking to Homer. He's like, here, so sorry for all the, like the mayhem, the murder, you know, the possible killings that could have occurred. Appreciate your help. Here's 2 free tickets to the park. And Homer's like, there's 5 of us. And Roger Myers Jr., the businessman he is like, here's 2 free tickets to the park.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you're getting. Freudberg, Dr. Freudberg's like in the background. He's looking at one of the robots, like the mass of these dead robots. He's like, man, I wonder what's going on in Euro Itchy and Scratchy Land. If this happened here, God, I can only imagine. We cut to Euro Itchy and Scratchy Land, and there's just no one there. And there's one French ticket taker who's just kind of salty, Steve.
He's just there to feed his family.
My
And
children need more wine.
then back at the house, they're watching Itchy and Scratchy. Marge doesn't understand what the appeal is. So Lisa breaks it down to her, and she's like, oh, okay. Lisa throws a shoe at Bart, and it makes Marge laugh at first. She's like, Lisa, go to your room.
A lot of Marge eating crows, Steve. That's a through line in this.